Solving polynomial inequalities is just like solving absolute value inequalities. The key is to first solve the corresponding equation. So let's first look at 10x squared plus 7x minus 3 equals 0. This is a quadratic equation. We have a lot of tools to be able to solve a quadratic equation. What are some of those methods? Pause the video and think about that. Okay, so you've probably thought of the quadratic formula, completing the square, factoring. And you should really be thinking of those methods in a different order. Method number 1 is factoring. If you can factor, it's always the easiest thing. So let's try factoring this quadratic equation. If we start by thinking about the minus 3, I need two things that multiply to 3. I don't have any options at all. It's got to be a 3 and a 1. And now I need two things that multiply to 10x squared. So I have a few options here. It could be 10x and x, or it could be 5x and 2x. But I know that after I put in the first terms in each of these factors, the inners and the outers have to leave me with a plus 7. So 10 and 3 have a difference of 7. So that should work very nicely. If I put a 10x here and an x here, I have a 10x and a 3x, and that gives me a difference of 7. But I want the 7 to be positive, so I need the plus sign here and the minus here. So this factors very nicely into 10x minus 3 times x plus 1 equals 0, which gives me the two solutions. X is equal to 3/10 and x is equal to -1. And now I need to put those boundary points on my number line, 3/10 and -1. And I need to choose test points. I can choose a test point here, a test point here, and a test point here in each of the subintervals that are indicated by my boundary points. I'll plug the test points into the factored form right here and see if I get a positive answer or a negative answer. So let's do 0 first. If I plug a 0 in, I get 10 times 0 minus 3 is something negative, and 0 plus 1 is something positive. Negative times a positive is negative. If I plug in a big positive number like 10, then I get 100 minus 3 is something positive, and 10 plus 1 is also positive, and a positive times a positive is a positive. And if I plug in some big negative number, like a -10, I'll end up with a negative times a negative, which is also a positive. So now that we have our number line, we see the answer right here. This is the region where 10x minus 3 times x plus 1 is negative. Less than 0 is the same thing as saying negative. And so we have our answer. The answer is, we can either write it as x is less than 3/10 and greater than -1. That's our answer in inequality notation. Or we could sketch it on a number line. It's the region on the number line from -1 to 3/10. And since I want a strict inequality, this doesn't say less than or equal to, it's just less than. I have an open circle at -1 and an open circle at 3/10. And I have everything in between. And that is the answer.